Shalom, Yashrala. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you to say truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Ruach double honor to the apostles and elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And citation and much love for you, Aki, pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. So I want to jump into this here quick little lesson that was inspired by, just going through some of the things that, having these conversations with people about, the times that we're living in, and how these days are different from the days that happened before, with the wars and things going on, So it inspired me to go in and look at the events that took place throughout this year, And I wanted to read some scriptures, some of the scriptures that we always go through, but nevertheless, this was actually said at camp. We're living this all out in real time, when you look at these events, you can go online and search up events in 2020, and like Wikipedia has a good spread out, they go day by day to things that didn't happen, So I made a list of a couple of things. I didn't go day for day, but just a couple of the big major things, But nevertheless, I want to go through the scriptures and read some of these things and point out, these are the days that we're living in, man. We're living in the days when the Lord is coming to visit the earth. All right. I'm starting out here in 2nd Ezra chapter 6 and verse 18. It says, and it said, well, just for this time's sake, verse 18, and it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisition of them what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. And literally you're seeing this happen real time, because look, Esau had been getting away with so much for so long that he thought that, that the Most High was like one of him, like a reprobate, just, and there was no judgment inside of him. But now the Most High is actually bringing down this here judgment on the wicked, and is actually bringing Jacob up out of their curses, Verse 20, and when the world that shall begin to vanish away, all right, shall be finished, then will I show these tokens. Now, going into this here world that we see now, the world of the wicked, Esau setting everything up, this here society and everything like that, we're really living in this time, real time right now, man, where so many people are waking up to this so-called American dream about how everything is all fake, a facade and everything like that, man. You're seeing more and more people now, just your so-called regular, everyday, common people that would normally be into these types of things, starting to denounce these types of things because they're looking at all these things like, I don't like this. This is all fake. This is like a facade. They want some more so-called realness, Hey, even people that were so in tune to this here world, man, are waking up and saying that they hate this here place, man. They're like, this place is hell. This place is this, and that. They're just waking up and starting to see these things, man. The Most High is pulling back that curtain, all right? It says, then will I show these tokens. The book shall be opened before the firmament, and they shall see all together. All right, and these tokens are basically these prophecies, man. The vision. You know what? I'll jump and read a couple more verses, but then I'll grab that in Habakkuk. This here vision is starting to speak. All right. So verse 22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown, and the full storehouse shall suddenly be found empty, and a trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man heareth, he may suddenly be afraid. All right, those two different things, man. You got the famines going on right now. You have a food shortage coming up. A lot of people, unemployment is out of, skyrocketing. All right, but nevertheless, you also got wars and rumors of wars. Verse 24, and at that time shall friends fight against one another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein, because of the springs of the fountain shall stand still, and 3 hours they shall not run. All right, so basically, we have these things that's coming up right now where you're starting to see more and more of the EU starting to break apart. How do you call it? NATO is starting to break apart. NATO has already been breaking apart, but nevertheless, you're starting to see more and more the EU starting to fall apart, man. All right. So let me go over here to Habakkuk 2 real fast. These scriptures aren't in any particular order or anything like that. Habakkuk 2, let me go to 1. Habakkuk 2 and 1, and I will stand upon my watch and set me upon a tower, and I will watch to see what he will say unto me, and what shall I answer when I am reproved. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. We've been breaking these things down to you for the longest time, And right now you even have a lot of these celebrities waking up. That's how we know that we've been pushing this so much that, even your so-called common person can now put two and two together, man. All right, there's so many of our videos out there explaining all these things, like the mark of the beast, and now they actually seem to be implemented, because before when we were saying these things, it was a vision far off. It was a prophecy. But now as it's all unfolding in real time, people are starting to catch the devil in his tracks, man. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come, it will not tarry. And this is what you have going on. Like one of the brothers at camp said perfectly, man. We're living in these prophecies right now in real time. They're no longer really prophecies no more, because a prophecy is something that's in the future. All right, you like telling somebody's future, but it's like saying something. You know, it's like you watching a video camera of somebody live in the store right then and there. Like, well, he's reaching on the shelf, he's picking up the ketchup. All right, put the ketchup back down. You know, you watching it in real time. You know, instead of saying, all right, in about 2 hours he's gonna come into the store, he's gonna go down this aisle, and so on and so forth. Now you actually watching him in real time, man. All right. So it says, for the vision is yet for an appointed time, and this is the time where the Most High is starting to begin to visit the earth. All right. But at the end it shall speak and not lie, though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come, it will not tarry. And this is really, you know, going into this here list of things that's going on, all right, in 2020 is definitely speaking. It's speaking loud and clear, man. All right. Let me go to this is Matthew 24:3. And he said upon the Mount of Olives, and the disciples came up to him privately, saying, tell us, what shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming in the end of the world? And Yahweh shall answer and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many. And you shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you be not troubled, for these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. So you had a skirmish between, I believe it was China and India that popped off earlier today, you know. For nation shall rise against nation, all right, and kingdom against kingdom. And you starting to see the rising up of Jake throughout the whole planet, you know, because of the oppression that Esau's had on his neck for so long, all right. And you also seeing these different, how do you say, these different kingdoms, more or less to say, that are still, you know, pushing for you know, going in towards World War III, you know. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilence, and earthquakes in diverse places. And right now, you know, with the COVID shutdown and everything like that, a lot of these food processing plants were shut down and everything like that. So they have all this food that they couldn't move to nowhere, so they're having to get rid of a lot of this here food, man. All right, so what? You know, this is causing a famine, all right? Food shortages and you know, how you say, rises in cost of food and things like that. Plus, on top of that, people losing their jobs, man. All right. Verse 8, it says, all these are the beginning of sorrows. And this is where we are right now, man. We're living in the beginning of sorrows, man. All right. Just like, you know, last year they had a theme, living my best life, you know. Now, 2020, you see them saying it's a whole new gear, man. This is like the worst thing possible, man. It's like, yo, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day, just having some little worldly conversation, one of my customers or whatever, or whatnot, or it might have been one of my coworkers or some shit, you know, talking about just, you know, bullshit conversation about, oh, man, 2020. I'm like, yeah, man, shit, I don't think nothing can surprise me now. He's like, yeah, man, I'm going home, sitting out on my lawn chair and bring out my signs for the aliens. I'd be like, yeah, that shit wouldn't surprise me either. You know what I'm saying? You know, just, you know, bullshitting with him or whatever, whatnot. But nevertheless, you know, this is, hey, again, you have regular people. These is like your Joe Smo Edomites. Oh, there ain't no aliens. We're going to live on forever. Our guns are bigger than, you know, they have this type of mindset in their mind, you know, just to keep them comfortable in their wickedness or whatever, whatnot. But now they actually starting to see, like, damn, this shit might not go on forever, man. This golden kingdom might not go on forever, man. You starting to see the sentiment inside of a lot of these people, man. You know, where you hear a lot of different people. There was an NBA player that was saying that it's not even the time to play basketball right now, you know, where there's some people that were saying, oh, well, you know, if basketball and stuff like that came back, then people's minds will be off of these problems right now. And a lot of people who normally will want to be in that mindset, they're like, nah, cover up these problems. I don't want to see these problems. But now they're like, nah, we got to face these problems. This shit is too bad, man. So this is the beginning of sorrows, man. The divorce rate is skyrocketing. The suicide rate is skyrocketing, man. All these things are going on right now, man. All right. It says, you know what? Let me just jump to another precept real quick, just for time's sake. I want to grab the same thing in Luke real fast. Luke 21:25. It says, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth, distress of nations, with perplexity, and the sea and waves roaring. So when you're talking about these perplexities, Slacker, give me 1 second. So when you're talking about the distress of nations with perplexity, man, you know, you have a global economic meltdown that's going on around the whole planet, a pandemic that's going on around the whole planet. You got Jake marching and protesting, and not just Jake, a lot of these other nations as well, too. Uprising, rioting, and protesting around the whole globe, man. So you have a distress of nations with perplexity that's going on globally right now, man. All right. me just grab one more real fast. Second Esdras 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs which I've told thee before, which we were just touching on a lot of those signs, man. All right, and again, you were always gonna see wars on planet Earth, but nothing to the same extent, man. All right, sicknesses and stuff, but not to the same extent, man. Financial crisis, but not to the same extent, man. All right. It says, then thou shalt understand that is the very same time when the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, all right, because you've always had protests going around in different nations for different things. Hell, you had Jake rising up and marching throughout, their whole time, or not their whole time here, but rising up their whole time and marching throughout certain points of times here in America, but not to this here point, man. It's not just America that's rising up and marching, man. This is Jake all over the whole planet Earth, man. All right, and not just Jake, man. You having a lot more of these other nations out there rising up as well, too, man. All right. Hey, you even have these other nations leaders making fun of Donald Trump and America over how they treat Jake over here, man, on the international scale, man. All right, so this is the uproars of the people in the world, not just in one normal place. It says, then thou shalt well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. So when you're dealing with these things like this, man, all right, you're going to well understand. Just like we tell you, hey, man, you're not going to be asking when Jacob's trouble is. You're not going to be asking when we're in the end of the world, man. Again, you have people that their sons or whoever, whatnot, might be in this truth or been telling them about this here truth and they ain't believe or whatever, whatnot. But now they coming to the conclusion. Now they like prophets or prophetess, trying to tell you that this is all, this is the end of the world. This is God speaking and stuff like that, man. Why? Because they will understand this is the end of the world, man. All right. Verse 5, for like all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end. The end is manifest. Even so, the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. And everyone that shall be saved shall be able to escape by his works and by the faith whereby ye have believed. All right. So nevertheless, dealing with these things, ultimately, you have to come back to this here truth, for you to be able to be saved. But nevertheless, the point there was, I just wanted to point out about these different things that's going on around the globe, and these uprisings, these perplexities of the nations, you know what I'm saying? These pandemics, these famines, and all these different things that are stacking up upon the whole earth all at the same time, man. All right, it's like your plate is full, man. All right, and that's what was prophesied that was going to be the signs of the end of the world. All right, so real quick, I want to run through this here little list. I wrote down some dates or whatever, whatnot, or some things that didn't happen since basically January 1st. They had an event. I think it was the Hong Kong protests that carried over from 2019 to 2020, which was the number one thing on January 1st. But starting in January 2nd, you had the Australia fires. The 3rd, you had now, again, when I'm reading through this list, you'd be forgotten that half of this shit happening this year. You would have thought that this would have happened over a couple of years. But, hey, just like the scripture say about them birth pains, those contractions getting closer and closer, man. This is how we know that this is the time when the Lord is about to send Yahweh Shah to come deliver us, man. All right, so on the 2nd, you had the Australian fires. You had on the 3rd, Qasem Soleimani was killed by a drone strike in Iraq. All right, January 5th, you had the Libyan civil war breakout. Going into those wars and rumors of wars. Same with this Soleimani thing because, hey, everybody thought we was going to World War III. On the 8th, Iran bombed an air base in, I believe it was in Iraq. All right. Then they also shot down a Ukrainian passenger airliner. All right. The 16th, they started the Trump impeachment situation, which we know that ain't going nowhere. But nevertheless, the 31st of January, the UK and Gibraltar withdrew from the EU. Again, showing, hey, man, these Edomites, they're falling apart, man. February 11th was when, they started talking about COVID-19 on a larger scale. February 27th, you had the U.S. stock market have a crash. 29th, Trump signs over Afghanistan to basically the Taliban rule, all right, after fighting a whole long war over there to take, the power away from the Taliban. They didn't want to, negotiate and giving it, control back over to the Taliban. And recently in the news, they just, they're putting sanctions. Trump just put sanctions on the international courts because of they're investigating whether or not they had committed war crimes between America and their allies, even Israel, if they committed war crimes over in Afghanistan. And so Trump's deciding that they're going to sanction them because they was just over there, bringing death and destruction over there, man. All right. What else? Where were we at? All right. So March 8th, Italy was the first country to lock down its territory, and then you had subsequent lockdowns after that, You know, and again, I'm only touching on some of the bigger things, you know. March 9th, you had oil prices fall. March 12th, you had the global stock market fail. All right, not just the U.S. stock market. You had the U.S. stock market fail, then you had the global stock market fall. All right, and it happened multiple times. All right. On the 27th, they started talking about, you know, the Pentagon and the military just started declassifying UFO sightings. Hell, March 26th, you had George Floyd got killed, and everybody, you know, starting to riot and protest, and all these things started uprising. On June 1st, they, you know, talking about Ebola starting to come back. I think it's called the Kiev Ebola or something like that. You know, they talking about that's resurfacing. You know, they also talking about planning for a second uprising of this pandemic to come back, you know. So nevertheless, you know, this has been a full year throughout, you know, all the way through, man. It ain't really been a time of so-called peace and quiet or normalcy where people could just be like, all right, well, that was, you know, you can't even go a whole week without something major on the news, man. All right, a couple of weeks ago, people was all shook over COVID-19 and everything like that. But see, COVID-19 didn't die off or anything like that. It was replaced by something way bigger than that, man. George Floyd was killed. Then that before that could even blow over and everything like that, there was this other dude who just got shot out there in the Wendy's parking lot, stirring up even more stuff. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, these are clear signs, man. All right, you should well understand that this is even the same time that the Most High speak about, man. This is how we know. Yeah, we can understand. We can tell you, yeah, these things have always happened, but not on this type of scale, man. All right, that's why the scripture says you're gonna well understand. It's gonna be clear as day, man. That this is this is what all these signs are happening for, man. You know, you see a lot of these different things take place, a lot of these strange weather events. We didn't even touch on those, the weather events, but a lot of these strange weather events, when you look at the news and things like that, they tell you is what? Of biblical proportion. All right, they had these floods, these tsunamis, these you know, all these different storms or whatever, whatnot, volcanoes going off, earthquakes going off, famines, the locusts. You know, we had all those locusts taking over and everything. Every time they would talk about things like that, they would say it was of biblical proportion. All right. And I think they just had a major oil spill somewhere as well, too. I think I remember seeing that a couple days ago. But nevertheless, you know, all these things are happening right now before your eyes. Because why? You know, the Lord is showing you, he's making it clear as day, especially to his men, you know, the men of the Lord. Because why? He's showing us signs before, you know, giving us mercy, so he don't come upon us like a thief in the night. But what? The rest of the people, you know, Israel have not obtained what he looked for. No, the elect is obtaining, but the rest were blinded, you know. So nevertheless, you know, like the scriptures say, blessed are your eyes will see the things that you see, and your ears in the things that you hear, you know. For many kings and princes have desired to see and hear these things, but have not, you know. But we're definitely and clearly living in these times, the end times, man, when the Lord is about to come and deliver us up out of these things, man. All right, the writing is on the wall. Babylon is pretty much done for right now, man. All right, and so, you know, the thing for us to do is to keep our eye on these here prophecies, like the scriptures say, you know, measure the time diligently, you know. But nevertheless, you know, I'm going to go ahead and close out with that. Lord willing, the elect was edified with this here lesson. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, Bahashim Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught us this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you. I can push this truth and sincerity in the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Until next time, I say, stay strong. Shalom.